This one is going to be of some great interest to you. We've been hearing a lot over these recent weeks about fake news. Do you think that the social media, when it comes to fake news, is taking it totally out of control and therefore needs tighter regulations? Well, this week a company that sells and distributes Jamaican food came to Winson Green in Birmingham to the African and Caribbean Millennium Centre to meet with black community leaders and press from the West Midlands in a bid to clear their name. BBC WM's Ricky Dehaney and assistant here to the show spoke to some of the 30 leaders who attended.
This is Reverend Dr. Desmond Jadu. The meeting with Tropical Sun was interesting because I understand now what they do. They're a UK distributor, Caribbean food products. It was made clear to me rather that they source their good from manufacturers in Jamaica and they distribute it under their brand in the UK. We give credit where credit's due. They came out and they did their presentation and talked about how they're supporting communities as well.
Erwin Sylvester, presenter and manager of New Style Radio. I think Tropical Sun created a platform to examine the brand very closely. I think they were very candid. The things they shared with us regarding the origin of their brand was very well appreciated. The things that we overlooked, which identified the fake report on social media, was a lesson well learned.
My name is Georgina Mendes from Orion Training, formerly known as Platinum. During the meeting we had a number of leaders asking some difficult questions. We did have somebody who actually went out to Jamaica to check that all of the processing, the ackee, the callaloo indeed is processed in Jamaica. That is actually true.
Marcia McLaughlin here, Phoenix newspaper. Happy to say that I was pleased with the visit of Tropical Sun team led by their managing director and brand ambassadors who came up to Birmingham to really give us a greater insight into how they work in Jamaica. It was very transparent, very, very genuine, and very heartfelt.
Well attended, good turnout, and I felt that the people who attended had keen interest in hearing the negativity that is fabricated and sent out about the company Tropical Sun was roundly dismissed. Answers seemed logical and viable, and I think by and large people were satisfied. Bentley Cunningham, regional coordinator with the Jamaican Diaspora UK.
That was Ben Cunningham there, finishing off some of the comments of people who attended the meeting at the African and Caribbean Millennium Centre in Winson Green, Birmingham. I'm pleased to say that I'm joined by Sinan Jeffries, the brand manager from Tropical Sun, on the show now. Good evening to you, Sinan.
Hey, good evening.
Thank you very much for joining me here this evening. Firstly, I want to find out what made you come firstly then to the West Midlands.
Yeah, we organised the evening with Tropical Sun in Birmingham so that we could meet the various Birmingham media, community leaders and food businesses to learn really more about what's going on in the city and look at ways we can expand the impact we're having there. Historically Birmingham has been one of our strongest areas, so as Birmingham has supported us, obviously we too support Birmingham. Okay,
and so having heard some of the comments there, what was going on for you then as a company that made you feel this is one of the, I suppose, radical, but not so much radical, but at least the more practical way of saying let's get a different picture out there about what the company's talking and doing?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was really nice hearing those comments. I hadn't actually heard those before, so I'm obviously glad to see that the presentations were effective in kind of conveying our position, which is that the company has been subject to a lot of misinformation, some of which may be disinformation, but I think a lot of it has actually been quite well intended. I think this is a lot of people, this is a sign of a lot of consumers that are trying to kind of engage in a more conscious form of capitalism, to learn where their money is going, and they're trying to hold themselves to account. And so when they hear negative information about a brand, they're responding to that, I guess. So in a sense, it's a very positive thing. Obviously, where we perhaps all need to improve is how we assess the information that's coming in and determine what is real and what is not so real.
So let me go back then. So I'm a consumer. I go into a particular shop and I want to buy a tin of ackee, and there's your tin of ackee or the company's tin, and there's another 2 or 3. And I gather from what you're saying to me is people may have gone for the other 2 or 3 and left yours alone because they'd heard negative reports about how akkee's been put into the tin in the first place. And is it even actually ackee?
No, so I mean, in terms of our sales of ackee, our ackee sales has actually never been negatively affected. Our sales have actually been steadily increasing pretty much consistently across the board, despite this kind of recent bout of fake news. And I think we only had one issue with our ackee, which was actually a genuine mistake that we made, which was where in our factory in Jamaica, we produce not only ackee but callaloo as well, which is a leafy green dish that's traditional in Jamaica. And what happened is, I think it was one batch, the wrong labels went on to the callaloo, so the ackee labels went onto the callaloo. So people were opening up their...
I see, yeah, expecting
ackee and finding callaloo. Or it might have been the other way around, I forget.
So
that was amplified in the WhatsApp circles as being perhaps something nefarious on our part, but obviously it was just a mistake in one batch.
Oh yeah, which can happen, as of course, people are human. So why do you think then it was happening that the company Tropical Sun has been getting this bad rap, and that people, and it felt as though, yes, fake news or, negative stories were being said about the company? I mean,
I guess it's a multifaceted issue. I mean, Tropical Sun isn't the only company that has experienced this. Pepsi, Chipotle are a couple that come to mind, and in their cases there were actually far more serious rumours. In particular, in the case of Pepsi, I won't go into the details because some might find them offensive, but they were pretty serious in their cases. And so I think this is just a feature, a bug, if you like, of modern communication and information transference. And it's also possible that over the years, historically, one thing Tropical Sun hasn't been the best at is communicating with its customers and audience. It's been very good at getting products onto shelves, bringing a lot of wonderful products from many, many different countries that people are going to enjoy. But as all of the focus was put on that, not as much was put on communicating the brand history and the brand ethics to people. And so it filled in the gaps themselves.
With things that shouldn't have been there. And as you mentioned, the work that you have been doing, I know that you as a company have been involved in lots of projects both here in Jamaica and here in Jamaica, in the West Midlands or in
Jamaica
the UK.
We've got
exactly, definitely. But also there in Jamaica. So just briefly, just share some of the work that you have been doing.
Of course. I mean, the company has been historically involved in projects in Jamaica and in the UK for many, many years, and just then kind of got round to putting this information out. I guess the position of our directors, of our founders, was really they didn't want to try and score brownie points or charitable acts, and so they stayed fairly quiet on these things. But now we're in a position where we have to kind of detail these things. So we have a project in Jamaica called Classrooms for Jamaica, which might be a little bit of a too grandiose a term, but it's basically where we're helping to renovate a couple of schools local to our factory in a Spanish town. So this is 2 schools attended by many of the children of the employees at the factory that produce our ackee and callaloo and such. We also have projects in the UK. We work with the Sickle Cell Foundation. We're launching a martial arts project in the UK very soon, which kind of ties in with our coconut water product and just trying to encourage I guess disenfranchised kids particularly to get involved into martial arts and get involved in something positive to channel some of these difficulties.
Well, Sinan, thank you very much for joining me here on the show. It's good to see that there's been a genuine positive impact, not only on the company's behalf, but for those who actually, consumers as such, who purchase the items can have a voice and see people behind the products that they are buying. So appreciate it and the work that you are doing from a charity level as well. Many thanks to you there. Sinan,
thank you so much. I appreciate it.
No worries. Is the brand manager from Tropical Sun.